Hello friends, today we are here to understand the evolution of marketing orientation. But before I begin with, let me just make it things clear and more relatable for you is that we all know that Charles Darwin, we all know that how the evolution of the human beings have gone through. In a similar fashion, the marketing has also seen a picture or has gone through the evolution itself. So in this presentation, I'll simply try and make things understandable for you that what is been the evolution journey of marketing, and I'll use different examples to make you understand as to what are the different orientation and how do you can actually understand the things in a much more easy manner for you. Right, let us just come to the next slide. So these are the different orientation. If you just see that there was a production orientation, product orientation, selling orientation, marketing orientation, societal marketing orientation, and finally the holistic marketing orientation itself. Let's try and focus first on the production orientation, and many people do also call it a production concept as well. Now in this particular step, in this particular orientation, what producers used to think at that particular time period. So within this particular production orientation, people are much more focused on the production. So they want to produce a lot. So they actually focuses on the mass production. The overall objective is to reduce down the cost, make the product available to the larger audience so that the reach of the product should be everywhere. So the product should be available to them, to the consumers. If you recollect, there was another concept that I am trying to relate to here is that there was a standardization and the adaptation. So standardize versus adaptive. So which one to go about? So in marketing, we actually always try to figure it out whether to go for standardization or to go for adaptation. Now in this particular concept, that is the production orientation, there we simply focus on the standardization. So if you recollect, the producer here in this particular case is not at all concerned about what consumers want, what consumers need are. Is there any repercussions of my work, of my product to the society or not? So what they are simply focusing on is they want to produce a lot in the market and they want to reach to the larger audience, they want to satisfy them. That is the main thing that we are trying to focus in this particular production concept itself. The example is there. The McDonald's is one of the company that that used to produce a standardized product. They are not concerned. They were not concerned at that point of time. Recently, they have conducted a lot of research and other things, but there was a time that they were only focusing on producing it a standardized products and making it available to the larger audience. The Ford motor is another example. That Model T of the Ford is another example. There they were only focusing on the producing the product and making it available to the larger audience. Let's come to the another orientation, that is the product orientation. Now in this particular case, the producer here in this particular case only try to focus on the product itself. Here also the producer believes that consumers might not be aware about some of their needs. Let's assume if you talk about the Apple, if you talk about the Tesla, so the kind of the quality that they are bringing to their product may not be called up by the consumers. They are making it on their own orientation by their own innovation itself. So there are some fundamental points that we need to understand in the product orientation. That is much more emphasis on the product features, continuous product improvement, differentiation strategy is the key in this particular case, quality assurance, technical expertise, premium pricing. That is the most important part that we need to understand. The premium pricing, they want to always they used to charge the premium price for the product. They maintain a brand image, and the continuous innovation in their product that they are offering is the key for them. I've given you the two examples here, the Tesla and the iPhones or the iPad or the MacBook, whatever you talk about. There is some drawback to this particular orientation as well. The drawback is that when we talk about the product orientation, many of the times marketers also do come up with the marketing myopia. We call it a marketing myopia. That simply means that producer is much more impressed by their own product. At times they are not even able to understand the consumer's point of view. So they actually end up presuming that their product is good and it doesn't require anything or any sort of a consumer's understanding. So we are not concerned about what consumers are thinking. We believe our product is good and we are not at all concerned with what consumers are thinking. Now this is in marketing, this is another kind of we call it a marketing myopia in that particular case, and that's a problem with this particular orientation. Let's come up to the third one, that is the selling orientation. Now here, this kind of a producer always focuses on selling. Sales is in the focus. So they are always trying to pursue the consumers. They want to acquisition of the customer is the main point, and they actually follow the transactional approach. And transactional approach simply means once I'm able to sell it, that's it for me. I am not at all concerned with whether that particular customer will turn up again to me or not. I am not at all concerned with that. I am simply concerned with one particular point, that if I'm able to sell it, now, it's okay for me. I'm not at all concerned whether I'll be able to sell it tomorrow or not, whether that customer will come to me again or not. So in a scenario of high sales pressure and limited customer relationship, so these are some key points that we need to understand about this. Direct selling concept is one of the most important thing. Door-to-door selling, personal selling, all these concepts actually comes up into the selling orientation, where the salesman is actually reaching out to the customer, to the consumers, and always trying to figure it out just to make a sale happen, not at all concerned with the consequences of that particular sale itself. Let's come to this next, that is the marketing orientation. Now please understand, here is a key in the product concept and in the selling orientation. In all these three, consumers is not at the center. Consumer is not at all a stakeholder for the producers. So producers are not at all concerned with the consumers. Let's come to the marketing orientation. Here the first point I have mentioned is the customer centric approach. Now the customer is at the center. Here the marketers have started working on understanding the consumers, whether it is a segmentation, whether it is a targeting, whether trying to position the product, whether try to create the value for the product, whether try to build some relationship with the consumers, whether try to come up with some long-term relationship with the consumers itself or not. So companies like these days, the online companies like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, whatever you talk about, even the grocery sellers like Big Basket, Blinkit, these companies are actually using lot of methods in order to understand the consumers, in order to understand the consumers' preferences. So what you bought earlier, or what you were surfing on that particular app earlier, they know that what you were surfing, and they try to remind you, they try to cater you with the information that you have already gone through in the past, and let us now do it again. Nike is one of very good example where they are trying to understand the consumer very well, and trying to understand the desires and the things that consumers are having in their mind itself or not. So that's the marketing orientation. So in this particular stage, the consumer have come into the picture. Before this, the consumer was not in the picture itself. Let's come to the societal orientation, where let's take the example of the Dove. If you recollect, there is a social stigma, especially in the Asian countries. There is a social stigma that people always prefer. You also know the Fair and Lovely concept, the way they have changed their name. That means the fair is the only appreciable. So the Dove have actually tried to cater all sort of women, and they've targeted all sort of women in their advertisement itself. So you can see one of the picture there. So the old one is also there, a fatty lady is also there, and there are a lot of types of people are there, those who are actually can use in this particular case. That's a societal orientation. That means we are trying to understand the other aspect of the society as well. Let us also try and understand, there are a lot of companies these days which are actually coming up with this particular phenomena, that if you purchase certain things from us, 1 rupee of this or 10 rupees of this or certain part of this particular money is going to go to that particular child education or women welfare or women education itself. So the Toms is one of the company that they have come up with this particular concept, where they said that if you purchase a pair of shoes with us, you are also going to buy a pair of shoes for those who are in need. So basically, societal orientation is that it talks about sustainable practices, it talks about stakeholders perspective, it talks about the ethics of the businesses towards the society, social impact assessment, corporate transparency, and consumer education. So all these things are actually, so before that we were talking about the product, we were talking about the producer, we were talking about the selling, we were talking about marketing. Now here a different aspect is being added to the kitty, and that also talks about society. So other than the company's premises, the next is your society also. So the company's responsibility towards the society have also came up with in this particular picture itself. Let's come up to the holistic marketing concept, which is much more, as the name is suggesting, much more holistic in nature. There it talks about the integrated approach of the marketing. In this particular case, there we are talking about the internal marketing, external marketing, societal marketing, and relationship marketing. Internal marketing simply means that it is not only your customer that is important, it is not only the product that you are producing or the services that you are producing is important. At times, the internal marketing suggests the people, those who are working within your organization, also does matter, because they are the ones who are going to interact to your customers. They are the ones who are going to facilitate you to interact to your customers as well. So next is the external marketing. There we are talking about the marketing to the other stakeholders, those who are outside the company's premises, societal marketing, and we also talk about the relationship marketing. So integrated marketing approach simply means that we add every aspect, everything, every stakeholder into one, and then try to understand that everyone related to the company has to be satisfied and has to be given their due, so that we can actually finally approach to the consumer in a much better way. Because these days consumers also appreciate companies which are much more taking care of their internal people, the external people, the society, and how they maintain the relationship with the other society members as well. So recently the train accident that has happened in Odisha, that simply shows that one of the Adani group, the Gautam Adani has came up and said that those who have lost their parents, the Adani group will be bearing their fees for the school education itself. Now this is what? This is simply like building a relationship to the society, building a relationship with the society. That simply means that the company is not there only for making a profit. The company is making the profit from the society and also responsible enough to give back to the society when the society is in need. One of the examples that I have written here is the Coca-Cola's Share a Coke campaign that they talk about. Starbucks actually focuses more on their product. They also emphasize on the quality, the ambience, the personalized services, and create a sense of community around their brand itself. So that's all from my side. I hope you enjoyed the journey. Thank you so much.